Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, so Christmas Eve, Lemmy's birthday. Before we start, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, which you do, the information is in the description for Cash App and for Zelle. You can either one. You can figure it out. They're both apps. Anywho's it. Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. We made it. It's another Christmas Eve. I don't know why my lighting is so bad. Kind of like jaundice or something. Come in. All right. So, yeah, Christmas Eve. The day before Christmas. Lemmy's birthday. Rest in peace, Lemmy. And I I have some Lemmy stories, okay. For one, I used to go to the Rainbow Bar and Grill on Sunset quite a bit. And Lemmy came to my gig at the Bow. I played the Bow. I played the Rainbow upstairs. It's an acoustic gig when you do upstairs, in the pit, whatever they call it. But yeah, I would happy birthday, Lemmy. I miss Lemmy. Guys like him are uh, gone, never probably to return again. He was a cool dude. And as much as he like drank and stuff, I never saw him like that. Is never. But I left Lemmy alone. See, people were always like coming at Lemmy, and most of the time, if I was in his presence, I should say, I would just observe and listen. Because people, again, they come at you, and he would always, he was very open with people. Usually, when I saw him, he would, if you go into the Rainbow, I don't know if it's the outdoor patio bar, one of the bars to the back. He was always to the right there at the end, and he had this machine, like a gambling machine. It looked like an old, like 70s, early 80s gambling machine. I don't know if it paid out. He would just sit there and play. He'd be like in a zone. And it was old. Like it was and I never saw anybody else play it. I think it was his. If I'm not mistaken, I think he brought that in. I might be mistaken. Comment below if I'm wrong. I think he brought that to the Bow, and they plugged it in so he could sit there. He was always there. He lived like literally down the street, like across the street. You cross Sunset, go down that one street, and then take the right. He was in that apartment building. Matter of fact, I used to that was my kind of secret parking spot for a long time until that street that he lived on, until I got a big ticket one night going to the Bow because I didn't want to pay for parking. Sometimes I would. Sometimes I'd rather, spend my money on booze, and I got like a $350 parking ticket. So I quit. And then because I was gonna, again, I leave Lemmy alone. I knew he lived around the Bow, but I wasn't gonna, And then I found out, I was like, damn, I've never saw him back near the apartment. But yeah, that was a street I used to park on. So Lemmy would be at the Bow. One of my favorite things to do was to hit the Bow during the day and get their lunch special. I love their they had like a hamburger special. Man, they had the best hamburgers. It was like a platter, like a hamburger platter. And I'd sit in one of the leather booths. They have like these red leather booths. I'd go by myself because it was quiet. There wasn't really that many people there, and I'd try to hit it like as soon as I could, like as soon as they started serving lunch or whatever. I wonder if they still serve lunch. Anyway. I'd go in there. Sure enough, Lemmy would be there. Sometimes, I'm not kidding you, besides like the people working there and a few tourists coming in and out, like, oh my God, the Rainbow, maybe do a sweep, look around at all the pictures and leave. Lemmy would be there. I mean, like clockwork. You could set your clock, and there'd he be with his Jack and Coke and playing that little machine. It looked like a little TV screen. It was like a big, I'm pretty sure he brought that in himself. I think that was his machine. I'd leave him be. There were times where literally it'd be like me and Lemmy. I'd be in my booth, and I'd turn my back to him because man, I ain't gonna be sitting there staring at Lemmy eating. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be all gawking because that's all he got. You understand? He's like people, everybody's coming. You know, I used to have friends that would come out of town, or my roommates' friends, and they'd be like, "Oh, will he be there, Charlie?" I'm like, "I don't know, but more than like you can't call and ask, but more than likely he will." And sure enough, anytime they went, I wouldn't even go with them. I'm like, man, I don't. But then they go at him. They go up to him like, "Hey, can I get a picture of this?" That I mean, granted, he was cool about it. Sometimes he would like, snark because I mean, what? Huh? Shit. One night he got us. We had a drink. He gave us a Jack and Coke. Um, and then the night that I played there like Halloween 2008, maybe 2009. Upstairs, an acoustic gig, and he was there. And there was a bar at the back. He was at that bar. I don't even know if they opened. I think they did open that bar that night. Usually it's closed up there, but I could see Lemmy. He was in the back. And he came, and it might have been this night, but we had the same like Western shirt. I have a collection of like Western shirts with like, pearloid buttons and like roses and eagles and, like, that was kind of like my uniform around LA. If I played live, I used to have a ton of them. They used to be cheap. And it was kind of gaudy. I thought it was cool. And I'd wear like a Kentucky Fried Chicken tie. Um, and I think it was that night I played. We had the same shirt on. Like we literally checked the tags. Like it was the same manufacturer out of Nashville or whatever. And it was an expensive shirt. He's like, "Yeah, I paid like $90." I was like, "Yeah, me too." Lemmy was awesome. And it's his birthday and it's Christmas Eve. So I thought I'd combine the two. But I'd go there. Sometimes I would see Mario or Mario Jr. Again, see, sometimes this is the thing. Going to the Bow, those old dudes that owned it. Um, Sometimes, and I hate to say this, but sometimes everybody was Mario. Like, who the fuck? How many Marios is there? You know. And strange thing is, they would always know your name. Now, granted, I've been there decades. Not every night, like it wasn't like that, but I would go, and I got to know people that Um, and Charlie, like, damn, like you remember my name. I thought that was cool, but still, it's like, how do you all these fucking people? But it might have been because I was just kind of a genuine person. I wasn't one of these like woo, like L.A. Sunset Strip kind of dudes, you know. And I could talk if we did talk a little bit, uh, about like regular things instead of trying to front or whatever they're trying to do. And later on, I got to know like I think the grandkids because I'm older than them, but they there's generations and because the family owns the Rainbow, On the Rocks, the Roxy, and the Whiskey, which is on the same block basically, and they probably own more than that. Um, and I've told this story, but I interviewed for the Whiskey to be one of the booking people, book the shows. I did it twice, but they weren't offering me enough money. I was making more money at what I was doing. And they're like, "Well, look, we're just starting you off low, but you could, they knew how I used to be a wild man, and they were asking in the interview, they were asking me if I was still, if I'd mill it. Yeah, and I forgot the second time I came back and did the same thing. Um, and I actually asked the last time I saw the grandsons, or I'm sorry if I don't, Michael maybe. I was like, "Give me a job at the Bow." They're like, "Well, we're not hiring at the Bow." I was like, "Let me, I don't want to be working in the kitchen, but yeah, I would go during the day. Like I could have swore it was like 11 or noon. I'd get there like right as um the lunch started or whatever. Nobody there. Sometimes there'd be some but nobody. I'd get the dark booth, those red leather booths, and I'd get the same thing. I'd get this hamburger platter that was awesome, like one of the best hamburgers I've ever had. Sometimes I'd mix it up because they have great steaks and pizzas and this and that. Lemmy, I'm not kidding you. Maybe one or two times he wasn't there, or if he wasn't there, I'd see him come in. Um, but he was usually was there. Again, it was almost like a joke. Like, man, he's here. Like he's he's drinking. It's like 11 in the morning. I'd leave him be. I wouldn't never asked for a photo with him, because I'd rather remember it in my mind, my memories. And I'm not like that. I've never asked anybody to take a picture with me, like some kind of celebrity or rock star, whatever the fuck. Never. I just wasn't like that. And I know that's cool, and I know that's thing that people do. But to me, it seemed like it wasn't genuine. It was like I'm asking for something. I'm not like that. Like I don't want to. Again, I'd rather have my memories. Sometimes I regret like not taking pictures with certain people because I've met them all. Like the night I hung out with Tony Curtis, I kind of wish I'd have took a picture of Tony Curtis, but maybe we wouldn't have had that flow and that connection if I was one of those people that were coming up acting. He was. It was. I'm not kidding you, man. I had a conversation, and this is the honest thing, that's true. It was me, Tony Curtis, and Joey Buttafuoco. Huh? What? Joey Buttafuoco was at the bar, and check this out. He's a cool dude. I mean, the couple times I met him, and that night we hung out, him and I and Tony Curtis, like he was funny, he was charming. He's a bigger dude, but yeah, I like Joey Buttafuoco. I thought he was cool. Never said I knew him, like I know who you are. None of that, you know. Just using first names, like I'm Charlie, he's Tony, I'm Joey, just. And we were listening to Tony Curtis, like just riff about stuff. About like, he told a story about how Marilyn Monroe gave everybody STDs back in the day, that kind of that's what it said kind of ruined her was again, I don't know. That's what he said to me, Uh, he might have been joking, who knows? Because he was funny too. Tony Curtis was, and at the time he was older. This was like 2000, around the same time, 2008, maybe 2007, maybe 2009. I don't remember. Maybe earlier, 2005. Who knows? And he was, I don't even think he was living in LA. I think he was living in like New Mexico or Arizona, and he was a painter. He'd switch gears. Tony Curtis, he was like an artist. He was like doing a lot of painting. I did ask him, like, what are you wearing? He smelled like amazing, and I know that sounds stupid, but I was like, man, and again, Joey might have said, he was like, yeah, well, I mix. He goes, I'm not going to say, but I have a few that I mix and I make my own. I don't know what kind of alchemy are you? Because he just smelled like, it made you feel good. Like, oh my God. He had a beautiful wife. Tony did, like this younger, beautiful wife. Oh my God. But yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I might have went to a Christmas Eve at the Bow or some kind of Christmas, because a lot of times they'll have like holiday things. I could have swore I did go to because it kind of blends in. A lot of times if you go to the Bow, what do? You drink like a sailor on shore leave. You're not eating. You just because they would have like drink specials of like some kind of purpley, who knows, and there's usually a group of us. And the night that I played, they gave me a booth kind of right up front and gave us a free pizza and gave us beers. They took care of us. And then there was a guy, like a low level rock star, that was his booth was right beside us. And they played music, kind of we could hear what was going on. He was charging like tourists or fans that come in to like meet him and like buy him dinner and take pictures. He was charging. I was like, wow, really? That's a hustle. That's balls, because everybody's seen him do it, And he looked cool. And he's a nobody. I mean, what, at the time, he might have been in a band that had something going on, whatever, they come and go. And I told that story that I got thrown down the stair. He tried this biker after the gig, he was running from the security, and he came running up the stairs when I was coming down and grabbed a hold of me. And I knew he was going to throw me at those dudes. So I put my arm around the handle, and he broke my guitar or cracked my acoustic. I had acoustic with me. But good times, awesome times. Most of the time, you're lucky to get a table. And the booths have these plaques on them, like these brass plaques. It says like, "Hey, if Slash comes in, you got to get up and leave." I think Slash had one. Uh, Lemmy. Um, there's a few. So say if you're there partying and you're with your girlfriend or whoever and friends and your band, whatever the hell, they come in up. Well, what do you mean? We got a whole table? Nah, we'll move you. We'll find something, or we'll just, get it to go for you. And that happened before too. I think it was Slash that we at his booth, and we had to just get up and we went out to the. It would be so packed, like on the patio, there would be these tables, like these little tables, and man, people are just literally they're leaning up against. You can't even see. You're like people can't even see you either. It's so packed. Uh, but yeah, I miss those days. I miss Lemmy. Now Lemmy has a statue, like a full bronze statue at the boat, which he should. He should. He was cool. Again, it was like, how can he be drinking that much and not be, uh, because that night he gave me a Jack and Coke, basically. Um, it was strong. By the time I could feel it, and he probably drank 3 to 5. I mean, he was, he didn't act any different. He wasn't slurring his words. He wasn't this, that, none of that. I never saw Lemmy intoxicated, even though he was drinking more than anybody I'd ever seen. And chain smoking, Marlboro Reds. It's funny that Lemmy's birthday is Christmas Eve. I think that's awesome. But he will be missed. But he's his legacy. And he literally, the story I heard was he in I think it was the late '80s. He finally got like his passport, whatever. He became a citizen. Who knows? Whatever it is. He told his management, like, "Look, get me an apartment as close to the whiskey as I can get, so I can just walk there." I never saw Lemmy drive anything. I never saw him pulling up. And I think he would walk because it's only like a 2 block. It wasn't that far, maybe 3 block. You cross down, cut over, and that. So yeah, I think it was like late '80s. He got that apartment. It was like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, not big, not I lived in bigger places when I was living in LA. And that's where he stayed. I don't think he ever, matter of fact, I know that he just lived in that apartment. He didn't try to, that's where he was at. I heard he had rent control. I watched an interview with him and he was talking about how he had the rent control paying, because that's a war debt now to live. But I think that has character to it. That builds you. That's awesome. He could probably afford a better place, but he's probably like a lot of us, is a creature of habit. He likes what he likes. He wants that routine. That's easier in life. Just have a simple routine. Just do your routine. And if that makes you happy, then don't be trying to, And he did live there like. The Strip is not what it used to be. Again, when I got there, so there was like the family also owns like the whiskey, and then like almost right next door to the whiskey for a while, and I forgot the name of the bar, and it was a shotgun bar. It was just like this narrow. The bar was on the left, and they had this not even a stage where bands would play. You would not believe who'd play there. And it was owned by Slim Jim Phantom, the drummer of the Stray Cats. And maybe it was like 1 or 2. It was on the same side as the whiskey, and I forgot the name of it. I'd go there a lot too, and it was small. Again, it's a shotgun bar. It's a narrow, and you literally are standing when people were playing. They're right there, and everybody played. They would just have like jam nights. And I never saw like a real. It was always like dudes from other bands, like playing. He's from here, he's from there, this and that, get the singer, that, blah, blah. And then they would switch out. And I went there. I went there one time, and I met this girl. I was like, meet me at wherever this bar was, and so we're together, getting drink, and then she left for another rock star, like a bigger. Okay, well, that happens in LA. That will happen. You will. I've had I've had people, actors, and people come up with my, and they'll be hitting like, "Hey, man, what did they know? Don't be trying to harsh my mellow. Get up on mines." But yeah, I miss Lemmy. Again, I didn't know Lemmy. It wasn't like, "Hey, Lemmy, I'm gonna be at the," none of that. You know, he again, I would, if I saw him, I left him be. I wasn't gonna be, even if he was alone, I wasn't gonna be able to, like, "Hey, Lemmy, can I get a Jack and Coke?" Or whatever the fuck. "Give me a smoke." None of that. Because people were doing that, and he was offering too. I would just love to. For a while there, I was doing it like once a week. I forgot the day I'd pick, like the slowest day, and I might have asked him, like, "What's your slowest day during the lunch?" Because I want to, and I'd go there, get a booth. It was usually that same booth. I'd go in. It's kind of in the middle. I didn't go in the back too far, but it's dark in there, kind of. My back to Lemmy. I wasn't gonna be sitting there, again, not gonna be eating your French fries, staring at Lemmy. How fucking stupid is that? But I'd walk through. A lot of times he wouldn't. Most of the time, he would not even acknowledge you if it was just empty. If he was there at the bar, he would be playing his little gambling game. I think it was like a video poker or video blackjack or something. Old. This thing was not modern. It looked you know, like and I think it was Lemmy's. I think he brought that in and they just plugged it in for him. I don't think he was gambling for money. I just think that's what he did. You know, like in the Ace of Spades, it's just like that's just what he wants to do. Gambling, just fuck it, win or lose, who gives a shit. And I might walk through, or before I left, I might have a beer ordered at the bar where he was at, and then just walk around the bow and look at all the pictures. There's so many. There's walls of just like you would not believe. And it was, I think before that, it was an Italian restaurant called the Villanova. I think that's what that was called. And it was a thing back then too. James Dean, that was his hangout. You know, if you see pictures of old actor James Dean, if you see him like in his suit or at the restaurant, that's where he was at. He's at the Villanova. Um, and all the star, again, that place has always been something. It's weird about certain places in Hollywood. They're always there and always attract like legends, like Lemmy. He's a fucking legend. I mean, in my world, like rock and roll world, who's bigger than shit? Nobody. Um, when I got engaged, we celebrated at the Bow. My girlfriend, and she was my fiance, actually. She was an esthetician, and she brought all her esthetician friends and stylists. It was like me and like uh, 10 other girls that looked like movie stars, all cool looking. And I told this story, but we were walking up Sunset to get to the parking structure, and I almost got in a fight with Guy Ritchie and Jason Stratham. They were ossified drunk, pushing people, starting fights. And I told the story. I walked around, pardon me, to get away from these drunkards, and they came at me. It wasn't really a fight. It was more like a put. I mean, I could have. They were so drunk, and I might have pushed one of them down. And somebody was taking pictures. I've said this, but like a week or two later, that's when he divorced Madonna. I was like, yeah, he's out there. Doesn't he have a mansion in town? Does he really have to walk down Sunset and start fights? Ossified, drunk, just blind, blistered, just starting fights. And that right, 100 feet down, they started some. They passed me. They went on, and I'm sure they got close to the Bow. There's like bikers hanging out there. You don't want to give a damn who you are, and they're not that big. Believe me, Guy Ritchie's not that big, and neither is Jason Stratham. It's all. I didn't even know who that. I think they looked familiar. Like, what the fuck is it? Who the? Oh, Chad, it is. Good times. That's when we had flip phones, but they had video. And one of the girls actually had videotaped this encounter, and I think was trying to sell it to like the news or TMZ or whatever the fuck it was back then. Um, we told her, don't do it, but she was literally trying to. Maybe she did, and maybe that's what happened with him and Madonna. I don't know. But if you ever see that video, that's me. That's like, they started the fight with me. I wasn't trying to fight. I was again. I'd been drinking too, so it wasn't like I was having a good time, and I was with a group of girls. It wasn't like crazy times. Comment below. Have you ever been to the Rainbow? Have you ever met Lemmy? How's your Christmas Eve going? Happy Christmas Eve. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, which you do. The information is in the description for Cash App and Zelle. And thank you for the people who have supported the channel. I appreciate it. Love all y'all. There's more to come. So I do need your support. And happy Christmas Eve. It's a beautiful day. Granted, it's snowing here, and hopefully my car will start so I can go do what I got to do. And I do this every day. I'll be back tomorrow, ranting and raving like a madman. But I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.